very warm welcome to another edition of World Panorama. Here we are getting you your weekly dose of major international news with a perspective. I'm Sana Khan. Before we get you detailed reports, here's a look at the top stories this week. North Korea conducts third nuclear test, receives worldwide condemnation. World Panorama takes a look at what lies behind North Korea's belligerence. Reform and action mark Obama's State of the Union address. Obama outlines ambitious second-term agenda. Pope Benedict XVI to resign, first to do so in 6 centuries. Process of electing successor set in motion. And World Panorama brings you the winners, the glitz and glamour from the Grammy Awards 2013. This week, the focus is on the continuing tensions after a nuclear test conducted by North Korea. Highly secretive North Korea revealed on Tuesday it had conducted a third nuclear test, drawing condemnation from around the world and prompting South Korea to put its military on high alert and summon a meeting of the UN Security Council. Pyongyang, which conducted similar nuclear tests in 2006 and 2009, said this latest test carried out in the Kilju country in North Hamgyong province was to safeguard its national security against hostile American policy. North claimed the nuclear test was successful. Meanwhile, US President Barack Obama slammed this highly provocative act. The test comes hours before Obama's State of the Union speech, and also it put China in a tight spot since it comes in defiance of Beijing's admonishments to North Korea to avoid escalating tensions. Now, we will be talking more about these developments this week on the show. I welcome Shashank, former Foreign Secretary. Thank you, sir, so much for joining me on the show. Before I get his perspective, have a look at this report. North Koreans in the capital applauded the success of their country's latest nuclear test on 12th February. In what is now the third nuclear test conducted by North Korea in defiance of UN resolutions, the test drew condemnation from around the world, including from its only major ally, China, which summoned the North Korean ambassador to protest.
The members of the Security Council strongly condemned this test, which is a grave violation of Security Council Resolution 1718 in 2006, 1874 in 2009, and 2087 in 2013, and therefore there continues to exist a clear threat to international peace and security. The members of the Security Council recalled that in January they unanimously adopted Resolution 2087, which expressed the Council's determination to take significant action in the event of a further DPRK nuclear test. In line with this commitment and the gravity of this violation, the members of the Security Council will begin work immediately on appropriate measures in a Security Council resolution.
Meanwhile, South Korea's conservative activists rallied against North on Wednesday after Pyongyang's third nuclear test a day earlier. About 150 protesters gathered in downtown Seoul for the rally, burning the North Korean national flags and photographs of Kim Jong-un, the young leader of the communist state. Analysts said the test was a major embarrassment to China, which is a permanent member of the Security Council and North Korea's sole major economic and diplomatic ally.
Their actions, especially the third nuclear test, have isolated North Korea to an unprecedented extent within the international community, both for the moment and in the foreseeable future. Especially as its former ally China has this time, as with the first and second nuclear tests, expressed resolute opposition in an extremely strong manner.
US President Barack Obama called the nuclear test a highly provocative act and said Pyongyang's threatening activities warranted action by the international community.
North Korea must know they will only achieve security and prosperity by meeting their international obligations. Provocations of the sort we saw last night will only further isolate them. As we stand by our allies, strengthen our own missile defense, and lead the world in taking firm action in response to these threats.
India's foreign ministry spokesperson said the government was concerned that North Korea was not following the international norms that prohibit testing of nuclear warheads.
Yes, reports indicate that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea has conducted a nuclear test today. It is a matter of deep concern that the DPRK has acted in violation of international commitments in this regard. We call upon DPRK to refrain from such actions which adversely impact on peace and stability in the region.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, the third of his line to rule the country, has presided over 2 long-range rocket launches and a nuclear test during his first year in power, pursuing policies that have propelled his impoverished and malnourished country closer to becoming a nuclear weapons power. North Korea said the test had greater explosive force than those it conducted in 2006 and 2009. Its news agency said it had used a miniaturized and lighter nuclear device, indicating it had again used plutonium, which is suitable for use as a missile warhead. Shashank, former Foreign Secretary, joins me on the show this week. Sir, a horse without reins, that's what China called this latest act from Pyongyang. It's been condemned by North Korea's powerful ally China, then US, Japan, several nations really. Why such defiance? What's going on? Help us try, understand, make sense of why North Korean regime is doing what it's doing.
Well, of course, there is one element of continuity that North Korea has been increasing its capabilities with regard to missile launches and nuclear tests.
Right.
The second point is that recently they have had the change of regime, change of the leadership. And this young man who has now become the leader in North Korea, he has 2 ways to go forward. One is that he moves forward towards liberalization of the economy,
right,
and tries to take example of the Chinese in order to catch up in the world. They have a feeling that South Korea, which used to be at about the same level about 50 years ago, has now become a member of the OECD and has also become one of the largest economies in Asia.
Right.
So that kind of gives them the other impression that somehow or the other they should overcome their weaknesses by achieving some objectives on the nuclear front and the missile front. So I think what has happened, perhaps the military ultimately has got the major say in running of the policies in North Korea. So this is a clear test of that. And if they have defied the Chinese advice also, because you know the test apparently was conducted about 100 kilometers from the Chinese border.
Right.
So Chinese are right now
and also
looking
they've been
at
trying to find the radiation and trying
the
to
radiation there and the Chinese
study
territory.
that, but that's really not happened. So they have no evidence as to what kind of a test it was. But obviously North Koreans claim that it was a miniaturized, lighter nuclear device. And that, which if it's true, also means that one step closer to the ability to place a warhead inside a ballistic missile. Now, that's really what the US is really apprehensive about at this point in time. And you heard Barack Obama there making a strong statement as well.
Yeah, there is a statement from Leon Panetta, also the defense secretary, saying that this is a real threat to the United States because they are trying to gather the intercontinental ballistic missile capability. Apparently, they are collaborating with Iran. And earlier we had the information that they were collaborating with Pakistan. So the second difficult issue is that in case it is not a plutonium device, but a heavily enriched uranium device, which also is a possibility, and that is being examined by way of the fallout of radiation, the xenon gas, and all these kind of technical issues. So I think what one is thinking is that North Korea should abide by the international obligations, by the commitments which it has already made to continue with the 6-party talks and to arrive at an amiable solution and a kind of peace arrangement with South Korea. The Americans have already agreed to have direct talks at various levels with the North Koreans. So I think they should really take that opportunity to come back into the normal international community and not be isolated.
Absolutely. But what's been happening in the past is after these tests, then the United Nations steps in, the Security Council imposes sanctions, and now there's more talk of more sanctions on North Korea. You've had South Korea too, by the way, just in the past few hours, conducted their own sort of nuclear test to place themselves out there. What can the UN do now since this continuing
South Korea
defiance?
has not done the nuclear test. They have done a missile test about 750 kilometer range. And they have said that they can reach so precisely that even a window of a small size can be targeted by them very accurately. So they are trying to, so this is what is likely to happen, that there will be greater militarization in Japan, in South Korea, and in the region. And the Chinese, who were thinking that they would be able to keep North Korea under some kind of restraint and lead to a positive solution in the six-party talks, perhaps also feeling frustrated. So I think what we also have to see is the friends on South Asian side, Pakistan and Iran. Pakistan is moving ahead very rapidly in promoting its nuclear capabilities, and Iran is promoting its missile capabilities, and both of them are now moving towards North Korea. So we have to see what kind of relationship is developing. It may have some impact on the region as a whole.
Now, Kim Jong-un, I would like to ask you his actions, what's going on in his mind, because his country continues to be isolated, and he's looking at the domestic concerns as well at the same time with conducting these nuclear tests and being condemned worldwide.
You know, there are windows of opportunity for North Korea. Firstly, if they can raise their food output, they should be able to take care of their population, because right now they are deficient in food production. So they have to depend on outsiders, and Chinese are the ones who are helping them out. But the opportunity for them is that they can easily catch up on the food production. Secondly, they are quite rich in rare earth minerals. So since the Chinese have stopped supplying the rare earth minerals to Japan, and they are being very hard to negotiate, so North Korea could have a window of opportunity to negotiate with the worldwide manufacturers in the modern technology to supply the rare earth minerals. So that could have been, but anyway, we still hope, and India should hope that it can also use its influence, having missions in both countries, in North Korea and South Korea, to see that the peace is maintained and the six-party talks somehow or the other achieve positive results.
Well, let's hope that, looking at the recent Iran-US talks that did end in a stalemate, didn't really happen, didn't really take off, and this really could step up an arms race, which we are increasingly seeing in East Asia as well, the latest action. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me on the show this week and sharing your comments with us. With that, we're taking a very short break, but after that, Pope Benedict resigns, citing health concerns. Stay tuned for a detailed report. Thanks for staying with us. Pope Benedict XVI's surprise announcement Monday that he will resign set off a flurry of speculation about his replacement, who will be called upon to guide the Roman Catholic Church through an increasingly secular era in which the Church has lost the certainty it claimed for centuries.
The decision, delivered in Latin and in unemotional tones by Pope Benedict XVI to a gathering of cardinals on Monday, came like a bolt out of the blue. Citing advanced years and infirmity, Benedict became the first pope in 6 centuries to resign. Vatican officials said they hoped to have a new pope in place by Easter, while expressing shock at a decision that some said had been made as long as a year ago. Around the world Monday, shock was the word used by many to describe the feelings when Benedict announced his resignation.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the whole House will join me in sending our best wishes to Pope Benedict following his announcement today. He has worked tirelessly to strengthen Britain's relations with the Holy See, and his visit to Britain in 2010 is remembered with great respect and affection.
It's very painful because it's very difficult to accept, because we have been praying for him, we have been listening to him, continually being observed by his love and concern for the Church as a whole.
Some commentators argued that the Roman Catholic Church should take the opportunity to modernize after 8 years under Pope Benedict, in which it was accused of being overly conservative and hobbled by sexual abuse scandals.
Apologized to the United States, he's apologized to Australia, Germany, Spain, letters of apology for what's gone on in those countries. But the fact is, there's been no action. And words without action really are emptiness. There's not much there. So his track record is pretty abysmal in my mind, because he's taken no action to stop this from happening. He's made statements, no action.
I respect it, because if you get older, perhaps you should be a younger one to reign.
The decision by the 85-year-old Pope to step down sets the stage for a conclave next month to elect a new leader for a Roman Catholic Church, carefully navigating a global clerical sex abuse scandal and other hurdles, including declining membership. After the Pole John Paul and German-born Benedict, the post once reserved for Italians is now open to all. Who gets the nod depends on the profile of the new Pope that the cardinals who elect him at the next conclave think will guide the Church best.
And US President Barack Obama announced in the State of the Union address that the US will withdraw 34,000 troops from Afghanistan within a year. He also promised to help the world respond to the threat by North Korea after it conducted its third nuclear test, also stressing on the economy this time in his address. Obama made these announcements at his annual State of the Union address. Here are some of the highlights. Brimming with confidence that comes from a successful re-election bid, President Barack Obama delivered a State of the Union address that was clearly aimed at turning the page on a first term in which he was preoccupied with winding down 2 wars and spent most of his resources repairing a badly damaged economy.
We have cleared away the rubble of crisis. And we can say with renewed confidence that the state of our union is stronger.
Having laid the ground, President Obama challenged Congress to assist an American middle class squeezed by rising costs and stagnant wages. He made it clear that he will devote much of his second term to closing the income gap between rich and poor. And he made no bones about his belief in government as an instrument to improve people's lives.
It is our unfinished task to make sure that this government works on behalf of the many and not just the few, that it encourages free enterprise, rewards individual initiative, and opens the doors of opportunity to every child across this great nation.
In terms of specifics, Obama pitched for improving access to education and expand job training programs. He also promised to lift millions out of poverty and help energize the economy by raising minimum wages to $9 an hour, a hike of 25%. When he turned away from the economy, President Obama remained focused on domestic issues, chief among them the emotive issue of gun control.
I know this is not the first time this country has debated how to reduce gun violence. But this time is different. Overwhelming majorities of Americans, Americans who believe in the Second Amendment, have come together around common sense reform.
Even when the address ventured beyond American shores, it appeared to be guided by aims of improving the nation's economy. Winding down the Afghanistan engagement was specifically mentioned.
Tonight, I can announce that over the next year, another 34,000 American troops will come home from Afghanistan. This drawdown will continue, and by the end of next year, our war in Afghanistan will be over.
Whether he will succeed in implementing all that he outlined in his State of the Union address is, of course, another matter. Much of what he unveiled could get stalled in a divided Congress that remains sullen and often obstructionist.
More government isn't going to help you get ahead. It's going to hold you back. More government isn't going to create more opportunities. It's going to limit them. And more government isn't going to inspire new ideas, new businesses, and new private sector jobs. It's going to create uncertainty.
But speaking from a position of political strength, President Obama suggested that the American public supports many of his goals, even if many in the chamber do not. Which is why the president is soon hitting the road in a bid to sell specific proposals of his plan directly to Americans. With the arrest of Finmeccanica CEO Orsi Giuseppe in Italy for his role in arranging kickbacks for the Indian VVIP chopper deal and the CBI inquiry that was subsequently ordered, the focus is back on a widespread investigation in Italy that has exposed a net of fixers and middlemen.
India is set to blacklist Finmeccanica SPA and cancel its deal to buy 12 helicopters from Italian defense group if allegations of bribery are proven against the company.
I have ordered a CBI inquiry and we are conveying to CBI a request to have an early inquiry. I can assure you the moment we get a report from CBI, we will take, as I said earlier, strongest action provided in the Integrity Pact. That includes cancellation of the contract, blacklisting the companies, and criminal action, and all these things will follow.
Italian police arrested Finmeccanica's chief executive Giuseppe Orsi for alleged bribes paid to secure the sale of 12 Augusta-Westland executive helicopters to the Indian Air Force when he was head of the Finmeccanica's helicopter unit.
Well, if someone is probing it, then you let them probe it, isn't it? I mean, should you have your own probe when someone else is probing, who is probably better placed to probe, because that's where the production takes place. That's where the offices are, and we've obviously remained in touch with them and expected that they would keep us posted and informed. So at an appropriate stage, when they give us the information that would be useful to use here in this country, we will use it. What is the problem?
When asked why India did not order a probe earlier in this case when they were aware of Italy's intervention, Foreign Minister Salman Khurshid said they were constantly in contact with the Italian authorities.
My initial reaction was of shock, but the story has not been raised for the first time now. Names of relatives and my own name were dragged into this issue before too. I was shocked, but I am also confident that there are no irregularities that happened here as far as I know. So I also feel that an inquiry should happen so that the matter is cleared.
India, the world's largest weapons importer, has a long history of corruption in defense deals. A multi-million-dollar scandal in 1980s over the purchase of Swedish Bofors artillery guns contributed to an electoral defeat for then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi of the Congress Party.
And with that, time for all the sports news from through the week. Here's Sports Action.
Wrestling should be removed from the 2020 Olympic Games. The International Olympic Committee's Executive Board set in a surprise recommendation as it looks to revamp the Games sports program. The IOC session in Buenos Aires in September will still need to ratify the decision. Before that, the IOC Executive Board will meet in St. Petersburg in May to determine which of these will be put to the vote in September. Olympic exclusion will be a major blow to the sport's popularity and financial stability, as the Games are a global platform for the promotion of smaller, less established sports. 6 Australian rugby league clubs confirmed they are under scrutiny by anti-doping authorities in the wake of an explosive government report into the use of banned performance-enhancing drugs in Australia. The clubs Manly, Cronulla, Newcastle, Penrith, North Queensland and Canberra were informed by the governing body, the National Rugby League, that they had been named in the report, the team said on their websites. FedEx Cup champion Brandt Snedeker finally reaped just reward for his red-hot early form on the PGA Tour this year when he eased to victory by 2 shots at the Pebble Beach National Pro-Am. Runner-up behind Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson in his 2 previous starts on the US circuit, the American world number 6 closed with a 7 under par 65 to post a 19 under total of 267 in the Pro-Am Celebrity event.
And well, the Grammy Awards scored their second biggest audience in 20 long years on Sunday. A total of 28.1 million Americans watched this year's broadcast, although the figure was down 30% on last year. Sunday's show saw awards for Adele, the Black Keys, Fun and Gaultier, with the coveted Album of the Year prize going to the British band Mumford & Sons. Here are the highlights.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ellen DeGeneres.
Music's top performers hit the red carpet of the 55th Annual Grammy Awards on February 10th.
Producer Wally DeBacker, engineers William Bowden, Wally DeBacker and Francois Titas.
Held at the Staples Center, Los Angeles, hosted by LL Cool J, as expected, turned out to be a performance-packed event.
I was thinking, writing the chorus for this song, if this is in HD, everybody can see our faces, and we are not very young. We've been doing this for 12 years, and I just got to say that we could not do this without the help of all the fans that we've had, keeping us afloat for the last 12 years. You guys have been our biggest, I guess we felt like your best kept secret through all that time. So thank you guys so much.
So I hear it's a bit more, the way you disarm an audience is by imagining them naked, but I don't want to do that. I want to look at you all as kids in tuxedos and being fancy. And
Black Charm, J-Lo. Thank you so much. This is amazing. Honestly, I just wanted to come and be part of the night because I loved it last year, obviously. Thank you. I just want to say send big love to all the other girls and all us females doing this because we work so hard, we make it look so easy.
We didn't get a look in last year because she was nominated for everything and then fucking won everything as well. And we figured we weren't going to win anything because the Black Keys been sweeping up all day, and deservedly so.
British folk band Mumford & Sons picked up 2 Grammys, including coveted Album of the Year for Babel. Indie pop trio Fun was named Best New Artist and won Song of the Year honours for its hit We Are Young featuring Janelle Monáe. Australian singer Gautier won 3 Grammy Awards, including Record of the Year for his heartbreak hit Somebody That I Used to Know featuring New Zealand singer Kimbra.
A little bit lost for words to receive an award from a man standing behind us here with the cane. Many years listening to this man's music growing up, and a big reason I was inspired to make music. So thank you.
Ohio rockers The Black Keys, formed by Dan Auerbach and Patrick Carney, also went home with 3 Grammys, including Best Rock Album for El Camino. The night's other winners included Carrie Underwood, Zac Brown Band, Frank Ocean, Kelly Clarkson and Adele, who dominated the awards last year and this year won a trophy for Best Solo Performance.
Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of World Panorama. I'll be back next week, same time, with more world news. Till then, you can join us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. This week, we wrap up in style. Here's a sneak peek at all the style of the New York Fashion Week. Goodbye, and thanks for watching.